The main character in The Good Place is a woman named Eleanor Shellstrop. Eleanor is deemed as a bad person when she dies because of the actions over the course of her life. The show is all about how she realizes the type of person she used to be is wrong. She changes by learning from Chidi Adagonye, her soulmate in The Good Place, who is a moral philosopher and who also doesn't belong in The Good Place. Another couple, Tahani and Jason, also don't belong together. Together, the four go about how they can become better people. The core value of Eleanor is curiosity. Right before she died, Eleanor would always live her life the way she wanted to, even if her actions weren't the most morally just. Even in the afterlife, she continues to be curious. An example is when Chidi explains moral ethics and she is intrigued. She keeps asking Chidi questions and almost becomes a good person when she is into something. Virtue ethics is based off what you as a person believe in. Eleanor shows she falls under the virtue ethics category. Like I stated before, she does what she believes in, and that is what virtue ethics is all about. In the show, there is a point system, and you get points if you are good and you lose points if you are bad. Looking at the amount of points she had, it is evident that she did what she believed in regardless of it being right or wrong. Chidi is a candidate of Kohlberg's last stage, universal principles. In this stage, the character has respect for what is right not only for him, but taking others into account for mutual benefit. When Chidi first finds out that Eleanor isn't meant to be in the good place, he easily could have gotten her away. However, he helps her to fit in so she gets to stay, and he has a soulmate. Tahani reflects Stage 3 of Kohlberg very well. Stage 3 is labeled interpersonal relationship. The definition is caring about how others view you. Tahani had to make the choice in front of the judge, person shown in the picture, about whether she can see what her parents think of her or go to the good place. Tahani chooses to see her parents' thoughts on her because she wants to live up to her parents' expectations and she cares their thought on her. Jason is in Stage 2, individualism and exchange. During this stage, in Kohlberg's theories, the person is not afraid of punishment and will break the rules if it serves best interest. Jason was initially disguised as a Buddhist monk, but broke character because he missed being his old self, playing video games and talking. Even though Jason knew he could be in trouble with Michael, he breaks the rule for his own self-interest. Next up, we have Erikson's theories. Eleanor completed stage 6 of Erikson's theory of physical development, which is intimacy versus isolation. In this stage, you understand what love is. Eleanor comes to love Chidi towards the middle of the show. The act of Chidi skipping the party for Eleanor, where he could turn into his animal, really hits Eleanor. She realizes he cares about her and that she cares about him just as much. This is when she realizes the true meaning of love. On the other hand, Jason didn't complete Erikson's theory of physical development. He skips industry versus inferiority. In this stage, Jason was supposed to learn competence, but still acts as a child. An example from the show is Chidi has to help him learn to be good through his classes. Jason didn't want to learn on his own, and he struggles to complete these simple tasks. All he wants to do is play, which is child activity. Object is the act of a decision, intent is the purpose of a decision, and circumstance is the context behind that act. Michael made a choice to create an afterlife that bad people would go to thinking they were in the good place. In this afterlife, Michael created obstacles that the humans would fight over, resulting in the torture. The object was lying about being in the good place, the intent was for the people in this good place to torture one another, and the circumstance is having the humans always realizing this good place is really the bad place no matter how many times Michael resets their brain. Next up, we have the different types of consciences. A lax conscience is when you know the consequence but choose to ignore it and do wrong action for self-benefit. An example of a lax conscience from the show is when Eleanor is putting her roommate's dress on. It is too tight and tears while she is putting it on. Eleanor decided to put the dress back and pretend as if nothing happened, avoiding the trouble. An erroneous conscience is following the rules but being unprepared and omitting a wrong action in order to cope with it. An example of an erroneous conscience from the show is when Jason and his crew were challenged to a friendly dance-off to settle a disagreement. Instead, Jason's friend group slashed the other group's tires. Jason and his group were unprepared going into this scenario. They believed that the best way to deal with this was slashing the other group's tires. An informed conscience is being aware of the right thing and making the right decision. An example of an informed conscience from the show is when Chidi pressed the button to reset Janet. This plan had been discussed amongst Janet, Chidi, and Eleanor as the best option. He pressed the button, makes the right decision, and helps out the group. Slippery slope is a fallacy when a person exaggerates a bad outcome for a scenario that isn't necessarily that bad. Chidi has trouble making decisions because he always looks at the glass as half empty. A specific example of Chidi making something dragged out when it's a simple choice is when everyone in the good place gets a pet. There are 2 dogs that he likes and he can't decide which one to pick, not wanting to be shallow. He then takes into account the feelings of the dogs, and then he can't stop thinking that he might take one of them away from their family. Overall, Chidi makes the scenario worse than it actually is. The first cardinal value I chose was prudence. Prudence is using wisdom during difficult situations. Chidi shows good prudence in the trolley problem by thinking out the best situation he can in such short time. He quickly has to overcome and think of the best choice, and the only way he can do that is with good prudence. Fortitude is having courage and being able to adapt with struggles. Eleanor shows fortitude her entire life, growing up with parents who always fought. This picture of Eleanor's dad, who often forgot about his own daughter. Since both of her parents would fight, she needed to remain a positive fortitude in order to deal with her hardships over the course of her life. One of the 4 theological virtues is love. Love is having a strong passion for something. Jason lives out this theological virtue with the robot Janet. He shows unconditional care for her, always staying by her side, even when it becomes dangerous. She treats him well, and he aspires to do the same for her. A personal, venial sin is an action that weakens relationship with God. When Jason was younger, he would steal for his father. Stealing most definitely is a wrong action and for sure weakens the relationship with God. The last is social sin. Eleanor social sins a lot. Social sin is a sin that affects the others around you. An example from the show is when Eleanor lies about picking up the trash so she could fly and have fun. Her lie causes it to rain trash and ruin the fun for everyone else.